This is Jack. Sorry for missing last week. My weekend was kind of busy. It's been midterms week, so uh, highlights of this 2 week period, I guess. Low light would be obviously midterms because midterms suck. But highlight is I have a girlfriend now. She's beautiful, and her name is Alex. She's hiding in the corner. Actually, she doesn't want to be in this, but she's a sweetie. Um, Oh, another highlight. I went to Rocky Horror last night, which I haven't been to in quite a while, and it was really fun. And it was odd because like it's been some of the callbacks have changed and the cast has changed since I last went there. And so one of the people I went with had been there with me previously, so we were kind of confused, but it was fun anyway. So back to last week's topic, which was activism. Are you an activist? I guess I'm an activist. I kind of am taking that role on myself, though. I don't feel like it's like something necessarily most people would call me unless they knew me. Um, I gave a trans informative speech in my or project, I guess, in my class this week on based around the transgender girl in Colorado who's not being allowed to use the women's restroom after the school had previously let her for half the year. Um, I am a supporter of the mainstream LGBT movement. It was kind of hard when I came out as a trans man because for a while my partner and I were together when we were together, my ex-fiance, we were a straight couple. So the LGB part of the community was kind of like awkwarded out by us, at least the ones that we interacted with, or they didn't really know how to deal with us. So it was kind of weird there. It was kind of, I don't know, it was discouraging, I guess. But I did see some trans stuff at Pride, and that made me happy. And meeting another trans man who is an activist made me want to get more active myself. Um, would you consider yourself blah, blah, blah. I guess I'm an activist against all isms, but it's not something that I feel the need to primarily state. I'm primarily an activist on trans and mostly trans issues, but I'm a supporter of like women's rights, equal rights for everyone, non-discrimination. Like I I'm not gonna obviously I'm not gonna say yay racism, but like I'm primarily educated in the trans field. I take my lead from other people in those areas, I guess. Activism helps me in that it gives me sort of something to do with my time, I guess. Um, and it's a venue for me to help people. I would join the military if I'd had my druthers, but I have way too many tattoos and I'm a trans man, so that wouldn't have worked out so well. The gay thing wouldn't have worked out well either, but so it helps me to have an outlet where I feel like I can actually make a difference. What do you think about third wave feminism? Blah blah blah. Trans feminism. I mean, feminism to me, I'm a supporter of feminism. Both my parents are feminists, but primarily I'm a trans feminist. Trans feminism incorporates the idea of women are all women as opposed to women born women. So I consider myself more of a trans feminist. Uh, to make it more inclusionary, I don't know what more I can do. I've been giving talks at my school about how sexism is not the same as feminism because a lot of people at my school seem to think it is. Um, anyway, so back to the thing for this week. How'd you know you were trans in childhood? I was raised pretty androgynously. My parents are both sociologists, and they wrote a book on women in engineering, actually. Um, so I was raised pretty androgynously. I've always felt weird doing doing female things. Like if there was a Barbie and a race car at Carl's Jr., I want the race car. Carl's Jr. is a fast food restaurant here. If people are watching this from other countries or states where Carl's Jr. doesn't exist, I think it's called Hardee's on the East Coast of America. I hung out with boys. I played video games. I played with boys growing up. I always had boy things and boy clothing, but I never really thought about gender much, period. There were parts of me that I was like uncomfortable with, but like I kind of didn't know trans men existed. Like we all were aware that this happens, but until we were exposed to the idea that it's a physical like concrete thing to me. I guess that maybe it's just for me. I didn't know it was trans men actually existed. And as soon as I saw what a trans man was, I knew that was me. But I wanted to be sure before I transitioned. So if you watch previous videos, spent time cross-dressing, doing natural transition, identifying as genderqueer. Um, that's about all I have for this week, I guess. So I guess I'll see you guys next week.